Okay, so we are going to be explaining our end game. This is going to be season 1, episode 1 of a infinitely long series. For the duration that I am actively playing this game, this will be the way that I play the game. I am going to be very upfront with you. I believe this is the absolute best end game possible worldwide for Warframe in 2026. Do change my mind. I encourage you to change my mind that there's a better way to play this game in the end game than what I'm going to present to you. Let's quickly get into a little bit of my backstory. I've been playing this game for quite a while, nearly a decade. No founder, but close to it. I am Legend 5. I have most of the items, if not all of the items available, minus the past couple patches. I do take long breaks from the game, and I have had some viral hits on YouTube. You can check it out. Warframe Trading, about 20k views. Nothing too spicy. I'm not as consistent when it comes to Warframe content creators as some of the better known ones. What is an endgame? What is enjoyment? Well, I will argue many different points here, and I look forward to reading the comments. So what we're going to be doing, this will be called Cube, C-U-B-E, named after both the Cube Draft format for Magic the Gathering, which is a Wizards of the Coast trading card game, as well as the Rubik's Cube, which is a puzzle where you have to move and configure different blocks and patterns to become lined up. Sophisticated to say the least. We will never be reusing weapons, okay? We will be forcing ourselves into meme builds. This is also going to include the highest possible, damage builds with the lowest time to kill, otherwise referred to as TTK, time to kill. So we are going to be including busted builds, but that's not the focus. These builds are going to be designed to manage mid-tier content. Steel Path perhaps, but think doing quests, maybe doing bounties, maybe doing fissures, just chilling around, doing a majority of the content that's available minus some of the maybe EDA, ETA, Steel Path stuff, okay? We are using the most unique weapons. This will not be focused on the most busted weapons available in the game. Though we will have builds for those, most definitely, we will not be prioritizing them. For example, the Stug is in my top 5 favorite weapons ever. And so we are going to be looking for high APM, which means actions per minute. And I will be giving a showcase here very briefly with my Atlas, and you can also check out in the description, I will post a link to my Atlas meme build if you want to copy this over. And having higher actions per minute with lower return on time for damage is going to be part of flow and enhancing a player's sense of joy in the game state. So this is part of an argument around flow. Flow is the concept psychologically which institutes a dynamic of skill versus challenge and bridging the gap and keeping it balanced right in the middle so that the skill isn't too high for the challenge, which would lead to boredom, or the skill isn't too low for the challenge, which would lead to anxiety. And so to have the highest opportunity of flow or joy within the game state, we need higher APM alongside the sophistication that I'm going to present to you here. This playstyle requires all items. We need all of the available options so that we can pick and choose and mix and match. This is a living, breathing endgame. It's constantly changing. Open for debate. Changed my mind. Love to see you in the comments. Would love to see you on Reddit. Would love to see you give your feedback and tell me what you think is good, what you think is bad, what your favorite approach is, and maybe where we can look to logically improve the performance of these builds. This will provide the most sophisticated experience available worldwide for Warframe without a shadow of doubt. Okay, so all of these things are going to take time to unpack. Again, we're not looking strictly to have the highest power creep. So I'm just going to go for maybe, let's say a Neo Defense or a Neo Survival. Let's do that. We'll jump into a Neo Survival here. Again, if you want to know this build, check out the description. You'll see the Atlas meme build, okay? Where does this come from? Well, there's a couple things that are leading up into this playstyle. One of them is Elder Dragon Highlander, which then became known as EDH. I think there's another name for it. So it is a format where you have 100 cards and a commander, and you can never reuse any of the cards that you have in your deck. So this is a reference to Magic the Gathering. So let's take a break from that real quick and just explain the playstyle real briefly for those that are not going to take a look at the meme video. So we got bunny hops as a playstyle for this penta, and we have a build to accommodate it, as well as the tethers here. So every time we b-hop, we drop a grenade at our feet, and this will tether any enemies near it, and then we detonate those. Another thing is that this is designed to be kind of a minion mancer build, and so whenever we kill an enemy, that enemy, at least with the Ballistica and with the Cyanoid Heliocore, they will become minions. So we just turned that into a minion. Now they're fighting for us. It's an ally. And so the goal of this playstyle is to have as much APM as possible, navigating the game state. Okay, so getting back into why this playstyle exists or was developed. Well, I've had a lot of experience playing Magic the Gathering, used to go to tournaments, and the most enjoyable way that I found to play the game, after maybe over a decade of having played Magic the Gathering, is a format called the Cube Draft format, which is a singleton format, and it doesn't allow you to reuse any of the cards. So if you have a lightning bolt, that's the only lightning bolt in the draft. And a cube is designed by whatever player. You can have your own cube. And it's, I would say, from my personal experience, it's approximately 200 to 1,000 cards that are never reused. So you've got one Jace the Mind Sculptor, and you've got one Ajani Vengeance, right? So one Counterspell, one Wrath of God, but there's many different versions of these cards. So this playstyle means that whenever you use a primary, which is seen here for the Secura Penta, that means that no other Warframe will have access to this Secura Penta. What's up, Katsi? I see you, baby. And how that works is it creates a bit of a conundrum, right? It creates from the paradox of choice, we have to limit ourselves. And there's many ways to think about art, right? Art is, a very liberating and free form thing, but in order to be quote unquote great at art or good at art, right, we have to study, we have to learn discipline, and we have to adapt different techniques. But this is not strictly for the sake of, grinding these techniques and using them verbatim. This is so it kind of unlocks our own little treasure chest of, potential options. Just like owning every single option in the game provides me with the capacity to pick and choose how I want to mix and match them to have the most fun. Being able to learn how to, form an arpeggio, or use a thrash pattern. We can learn from different guitarists, singers, and players throughout history, especially in jazz, and we can adapt these techniques and make them part of our easel, part of our treasure chest or toy box of things that we can do. Now, when we limit ourselves is when we kind of force ourselves into a corner, and even a rabbit, when cornered, will bite back. So what happens over time when we refine this playstyle, this game, into a format and a methodology that says, oh, you know, this is a really great option. This has fantastic synergy. These two weapons work perfect with each other. But I want to put it here. It could also work here. So we have to logically find a conclusion in an argument that says, no, you know, this Atlas meme build is where the Penta is going to be. And there are many variations of the Penta. There can only be one. Just like Highlander, which is why it was called EDH, Elder Dragon Highlander. There can only be one. This playstyle will be very confusing for the baby Tenno, but for the veteran, I think they're going to get it right away. And you might disagree with my approach, but I will argue fiercely in a debate that this is the absolute best endgame because it is the most sophisticated. It requires the most brain power. It requires the most logic. Also, fundamentally, never will I ever use artificial intelligence to formulate this endgame. By all means, feel free to do whatever you want. Don't let me tell you how to play the game. I am just exposing how I am going to be able to have the most fun possible as a veteran player, Legend 5, as of current, while continuing to play Warframe. A lot of players come and go, and even in the veteran cycle, players take long breaks. I know many of them. I grew into the game playing with many of them. And so it's an attempt also at never being bored with the game and always finding some sort of light at the end of the tunnel that says, hey, there's so much more. Now, is this going to apply to fashion? You bet. What does that look like? Well, I'm going to do whatever I can to never reuse a single fashion component, which means weapon skins, armor attachments, ephemera, okay? So can there be a more sophisticated endgame? No. Why? Because it also includes the best possible, most power-crept, lowest time to kill variant of every given weapon and every given frame. Those aren't the priority, but of course it includes it. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to have some, level cap, capacity and potential? So, bunny hops, meme build for Atlas. What do memes mean? Well, Grandma told me, to dream big. Don't let your memes be dreams. If we are going to play a game, and if we were going to play it so far as to collect everything available in the game, what is there to do with it? There are no raids in Warframe. I love raids. I play Guild Wars 2. Love raids. Absolutely love them. But what are they? They're hard. And they fracture the player base and force them into boxes and conformity, which might not be enjoyable to some, right? This is also a way to conform in an environment where there are no raids, where it doesn't really provide us with this, very, very difficult content where players feel like they have to play a healer or they have to play a buff or they have to play a DPS or, get kicked. There is no kicking in Warframe. So I figured, why don't we take some of the more cerebral approaches that we've experienced in gaming? And I would argue, of course, there's a lot of argument going on here. I would argue that Cube or EDH, I would say EDH in MTG has become the most popular format. Whereas ages ago, maybe 2 decades ago, players were more concerned with, at least at an elite level, with Pro Tour points or getting invitations and going to tournaments and competing against people for prizes. Well, a lot has changed, with technology and, arena. And even besides that, a lot of the players that I know, this is more empirical, that have quit the game, they still hold on to a cube or they still hold on to an EDH deck. Why? It is so much more enjoyable and it's so much more sophisticated and random to not really know what's coming next. When you play a deck with 60 cards in Magic and you have 4 copies of everything, there's a consistent expectation and a percentage of what cards you're going to be getting in your opening hand, and you mulligan in order to have an optimal draw. In Cube Draft, you build packs of cards out of the singleton, random grouping of cards that you've chosen to put in there, or someone's chosen to put in there. And there are many lists. You can take a look at cube drafting. I'll probably put a link in the description to give a little bit more context about that. But I've traditionally experienced it with 4 to 8 players, mostly 4. Each player getting 3 15-card packs from the cube draft that's available, and you open a pack, you pick your card, you pass it. Why does this matter? Well, you have to be competitive in your options of picking and choosing, no different than you would in like a fantasy football draft, to build your team, to build your deck. And you can just flavor of the week, decide to play mono red, decide to play, combo control, whatever you want to do. And it's all based upon your individual agency and how you're choosing these cards. No different will be this playstyle. Cube. But in Warframe. So, that's it. Nothing more to say here. This is episode 1. I'm giving you a bit of a primer, and what is to come will be all of my streams will be built around this. And there's going to be a spreadsheet, and this will be updated regularly to give more purview to anybody interested in criticizing, anybody interested in copy pasting. Please join in on the conversation. I want to hear from you. I want to know what your opinion is, not only of my endgame, but what you believe is the best endgame, because I know that's coming. Like, let's not beat around the bush here. I'm telling the entire community that this is the way the end game should be. Why? Because it's the best. It's the most sophisticated. It's the most complicated. It's the most complex. And to be quite clear, it is not possible for me to run this end game without feedback from you. So, with that said, take it easy. Have a good night, good morning, good luck. I will see you in episode 2. And every year that I play this game or continue to play this game will represent a new season. Thank you so much for watching. Take it easy. Bye-bye.